This didn't come out well, but it's not just at the state level. So just to give you a sense on Japan, all these small towns and some large towns in Ohio have partnerships with Japanese cities. Next. The same can be said with the UK. Again, sorry this didn't show right, but Mark will get you the content so you can see all these partnerships. Next. All right, so what's driving the Japan? And I think Matt McAllister from One Columbus will get into this more in terms of how important FDI is to Columbus. But a lot of the southern states get attention for attracting a Kia or a new auto plant. Well, Ohio was the first to do that. It was in the early 1980s with Honda. They make the Accord, a lot of Acura products. They have the second largest R&D center in the world in the central Ohio region. But you can see they're Ohio's largest employer. I'm just curious, how many of you knew that the largest employer in Ohio was Honda? So that, very good. Well, Mark, if you bring the group back, there's all sorts of smart mobility activity out towards Marysville, a lot of connected autonomous vehicle work. Next. So JobsOhio, we're in the deal business, the projects business, and so we kind of get measured on three things: new leads, first-time visits to Ohio. Again, if you all haven't been to JobsOhio, it's kind of like Ohio's showroom. It's a great space to welcome a company from wherever in the world. But our kind of track record on the right just shows you how many projects we've done. So Japan, over the past decade, is top at 150. The UK, Germany, Canada, kind of all in the 50 and 60 range. So this is why I'm calling Ohio the global heartland. It's not always painted that in the mainstream media, but we have a tremendous global presence here in the form of FDI. So before I turn it over to Matt, I just share a few case studies of success stories. So next slide. So industry by industry and then country overlaid. So here are just logos of, let's just pick energy and chemicals. So Advanced Power's built a lot of power plants here. Ineos has a major plant here. Siemens has done a lot. Saint-Gobain. You see all the logos, but it's pretty amazing, this matrix can be filled out the way it can. Next. So Ultium Cells is probably the biggest related FDI project. LG Chem out of South Korea. This deal has been in the national news a lot. It's in Northeast Ohio, and they are building a lithium-ion battery cell production. So this is timely, Mark, since you are headed to Northeast Ohio later today. Next slide. Fuyao Glass America in Moraine. This, again, was an old GM plant that had been vacated, and it was available. We put in about $10 million to get the property redeveloped, and now Fuyao employs several thousand workers. If you all are Netflix watchers, American Factory on Netflix is a movie that was made about this deal, and some of the contrasts and intricacies of the U.S.-China economic relationship. So worth a watch if you haven't seen it. Next. Yeah, so each deal we look at it on a unique basis, and what are we solving for? We're trying to solve for winning the project. In that case, the property needed a lot of cleanup, and so a lot of the funds we put in went to help get that property ready. I think we also put in tax credits and a workforce grant, which could offset some of the training costs. But we deployed different tools on different deals. In that case, that was probably the biggest profile deal in our early years. That was done in 2014, 2015. Next. So if you could go back one. So this is one from Spain. So Saica is a multi-billion-dollar paper company in Zaragoza, Spain. They have chosen Ohio for a new paper plant in Hamilton. This is a great story. Hamilton used to be a huge paper related economy. They had lost some of that, and now it's coming back. But we had the chairman and CEO here a couple weeks ago. Great people. I can't say enough positive things about Saica. But I think, another example of us being the global heartland. Next. This is a great tech story, and then one on inclusion. Auticon Anyone familiar with Auticon? They do tech-related services for people on the autism spectrum. And so Auticon chose Columbus for their operation. You can see they are putting 50 people here. We put in, Mark, this is another good example. We put in $300,000 in what's called talent services, and that's to help them find the people. So it's an in-kind service, not charged to the company, but we're helping them find the people. So we can market the jobs. We can connect them with partners. So our talent team, you heard from Christy Klaus yesterday, they've weaved together all the different talent groups in the state, and they can bring them in on a project, and hey, maybe we can fund them growing a specific degree or credential. So if you take one thing away, Ohio's the global heartland. We've got over 300,000 people in foreign companies or global companies. If you have relationships overseas and you think they are looking for an outpost in the Midwest or in the US, we have all sorts of services we can offer. We've got the team on standby to do it. Some of you may have met Amy last night at dinner. But thank you for your time. I hope the rest of your time in Ohio is as successful as the past few days have been. And I think now we'll get into a little more detail on Central Ohio.
Come join our 361 Firm community of investors and thought leaders. We have a lot of events created by the community as we collaborate on investments and philanthropic interests. Join us.